Hey there, fans of brotherly love wrestling. It is I, Vic Delicious,
Philly's own, the Mecca.
This is the chronic redneck, Cold Stone Tim Boston.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City.
Bill Carr here, one half of Team Tremendous.
J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier.
Hey everyone, Camp Leapfrog's Chris Levin here.
Greetings and salutations. It's your man, CD, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels.
And you are partaking in the brotherly love wrestling experience.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things. Yeah!
Fans, you are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome everybody to Brotherly Love Wrestling, and on today's show, we have from the BakStabberz Wrestling Podcast, right here in our city of Philadelphia, another wrestling podcast, Willy Gunz. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, fellas?
I don't know if this is good for business on our end. I mean, we're inviting. This is friendly competition that we're inviting onto our turf. I mean,
as far as I can see, there ain't no competition. Not yet.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And if I know Philadelphians as well as I think I do, that might be the only one we get today. So what we'll be doing today is speaking mainly WWE, which honestly we haven't done in a long time. I know WrestleMania was like a month ago, almost to the day.
Yeah.
So that was the last time we talked mainly WWE on our show, because honestly, WWE has been main product has been the hardest thing to watch and keep up with for me personally. And I know Larry's probably 99% in the same boat, but just it seems to be going downward and less interesting. I know depending on who you talk to, it hasn't been watchable for 5 years, 10 years, depending on who you talk to. But I mean, it hasn't been that bad. I mean, they still have some of the top talent in the world of wrestling. So, I mean, it's just script and storyline and everything that goes into the actual TV aspect of it has been kind of, what's the word I would use? Meh.
Yeah, meh. That's a good word.
So we brought you on the show. We told you we're going to talk WWE. Give us some perspective of someone who mainly watches WWE.
I feel the same way you guys do. It's not as easy to watch as it was back in the Attitude Era when I got fully into it. And Ruthless Aggression I still enjoyed. But my parents basically kept me in it through all these years. Every time I would go over to my parents' house, they'd have it on. They would catch me up on things. My mom still believes that it's all real. She gets it. She gets into it to the point where if a guy turns heel, she hates him. She's mad at him. He goes back face, she loves him. She's just that. I mean, she's one of my favorite wrestling fans. Don't get me wrong. If you watch wrestling with her, it's a whole new experience. You probably never experienced something like it before, especially when she has a few beers. But basically, I agree with you. I don't think wrestling is what it was back then. I keep hoping that they could do it. I think they got some really good talent right now. I just don't think it's back to what it was. Probably where you guys enjoyed it most, right?
Yeah, so we're Attitude Era babies as well. So we grew up I grew up on it in the very, very late 80s, very early 90s. So, I mean, I've gone through the best of times. And, I mean, part of it is us growing up. I mean, I think what we expect and what we liked, we're never going to get again. So we got to find a way to like what it's turning into if we want to continue to watch it. I mean, which we do. We want to continue to watch wrestling. We want it to be good. I mean, it's just that you know what WWE is geared towards. It's geared towards someone who isn't our age, someone who's much younger than us. I mean, the John Cena era where his biggest fans were the kids. I mean, Roman Reigns follows suit up until maybe a few months ago. But I mean, it's just that it's not what it was. It's painful almost to watch sometimes, and it sucks because you want to enjoy it. I think social media plays into that too, because you have so many voices that come out of the woodworks to say, "Oh, this one's bad, this one's good. This is why you should watch this. What are you talking about? This is why you should watch that." I mean, it sways opinions and it puts different perspectives out there. I mean, not so much for me because I could care less what people say, but I get the fact that there's so many different, everyone's an expert. I will never claim to be an expert on damn near anything, but there's a lot of experts out there.
Oh yeah, there definitely is. My co-host is pretty much an expert, which I'd still tell him he's not. But I think that wrestling will definitely get back on track once the fans are fully back, once they're fully on the road again, and all that stuff happens. But to not have fans and to do the Thunderdome the way they did, I appreciated that big time. I did appreciate that. I appreciated them at least getting somewhat of the fans to do something, to let the wrestlers not be out there wrestling in an empty arena. You know, that was pretty awesome. At first they had all the wrestlers in the crowd and stuff. Like NXT did that. They still do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
NXT still has that. I really appreciated that. But back to what you were saying, like the John Cena era and everything, right now, I guess we're in the Roman Reigns / Drew McIntyre era, right?
I think
Seth Rollins, maybe.
I mean, it's been more the Seth Rollins show after he cashed in, and unfortunately he got hurt and other people had to step up. And he kind of, ever since he came back from that injury, he was never the top guy, the permanent top guy. Like, I feel like he would have. I feel like Seth Rollins, before he got injured, would have carried wrestling into a different trajectory as it is today, because he was massively over. They were running storylines where there was still the authority, and it was better than watchable. It was really good. He gets injured, he goes down, and you have to force other people on you that maybe aren't ready yet, who people haven't really grown to appreciate yet. So Seth Rollins actually could have been the catalyst, and two different occasions. He was the catalyst when he got injured, and then you have Finn Balor come up, who is coming up from NXT. He's got this new mysterious persona about himself. He's the demon, and he comes, and he's cool looking. I mean, it's not Attitude Era, but he's still cool looking. He's different. It's different, and what you want to see is different. Seth Rollins now injures him. He loses all momentum, comes back. He ends up doing nothing on the main roster and ends up having to go back to NXT. I mean, there's a couple points where wrestling looks like it's going to take the next leap, where it's going to actually become enjoyable again for people of all ages. I mean, it seems like it just takes one step forward, two steps back all the time.
Yeah. How did you feel when Finn Balor won? When he won that match, when he became the first Universal Champion?
I thought that was great because it showed that, okay, in the land of the giants, we have a couple small guys that we can still rely on. We have the workers. We have a personality. It helped that Triple H loved him immensely and still probably does. I mean, but it was like Seth Rollins isn't the biggest guy in the world. Finn Balor is not the biggest guy in the world. I mean, Daniel Bryan kind of started it, or not started it. Rey Mysterio probably started it, but Daniel Bryan, another guy that's not the biggest guy in the world, but that are proven that they can be world champion, and they're different. And I mean, WWE gets saddled into this company that is only going to push these monsters like Brock Lesnar or Braun Strowman, like these guys that are huge. Larry, would you like to add anything for a second?
Well, I mean, I agree. It was probably one of my favorite moments, at least from that era, is the Finn Balor title win. Because, like you said, it was different. You're not seeing a guy like that hold the title very often in WWE. And it gave hope, like you said, for the future. Like you thought, all right, maybe this is it. This is that turning point to where now a lot more of these smaller guys are going to get that push. And it really sucks that he gets hurt in that match, the next match, and he's done. But, I mean, it was a great moment for WWE to prove, yeah, we can still do this without a Hulk Hogan type.
Yeah, they had that hugely planned out. I would love to have seen what they had planned out for Finn after that. And then, of course, you lose the guy that you give the belt to, which was so huge.
Mm-hmm.
So huge. I even afterwards saw how that went down. I stopped watching for a little bit or whatever. I didn't even know it was real or not. You know what I mean? I didn't know if they were just trying to give him a title real fast and he went on vacation. Then he was really hurt. You know how it is in wrestling. Is the guy hurt or is the guy not hurt? You know, that's how I was feeling about it. And then it got really boring after a little bit. They broke the Shield up. I didn't like that. I loved the Shield. I don't know about you guys, but I love the Shield. I'm a big fan of factions. My co-host also is. We love factions. Look what AEW's doing. Not that I watched them a lot, but they're pretty much bringing back the factions of wrestling. The Lone Wolf right now is in trouble. Put it that way. Lone Wolf wrestlers in trouble.
Yeah, but you know what? I do, and I'm glad you brought that up. That you said you don't watch, AEW, and you really don't follow the indies or the smaller companies, to that matter. What is it about WWE and Raw and SmackDown, because you primarily focus on that? What is it about them that keeps you watching every week? And what is it about the indies or those smaller companies that doesn't attract you? That you're like, no, I'm good. Is it just time? Or
it's hard.
Interest?
I think it's hard to develop a love for the characters, you know, for the gimmicks, for the wrestlers, whatever you want to call it. I think just over the years, I've learned so much about watching WWE that's the wrestling that I always push myself towards. Like a lot of times when I'm watching that, yeah, I'll watch it and I'll be entertained by the match itself. But then when the guy's cutting the promo, I don't know him at all, you know. And watching the WWE, growing up with it, they have like recycled storylines, I would say, and gimmicks that kind of are similar to one another. So it's easy to just get right into whatever those wrestlers are doing. But I still watch, like ACPW. They sponsor our podcast, and I watch a lot of their matches and everything. And I guess it's like also I wouldn't say showmanship. I would say probably the money. You know, WWE puts on a crystal clear camera angles, all that stuff, to where the other ones don't do that. And my mom and dad are huge. Like my mom and dad, actually, they watch AEW. They watch everything. It's just that they kept me in wrestling over the years. I really didn't. After the Attitude Era, when The Rock and Austin were gone and Kurt Angle was trying his best to keep things going and Triple H was here and there and it was dying down, I totally stopped watching wrestling like that. I really did just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was probably around the same time I stopped watching was, 2007, 2008. But who got me back into it was someone that I think that WWE is afraid of this type to push, and that's CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk came through, and he was this guy. He wasn't the biggest guy. He wasn't the most in-shape guy, and probably not the most athletic guy. He wasn't doing a lot of crazy things, but he was the best at talking and relating to the audience. Whether he was a bad guy, he could push those buttons to where you would legitimately hate him. And if he was a good guy, he pushed those buttons that would make you love him. I mean, he knew exactly how to work a crowd no matter what angle he was in. And I think WWE, they had something with him that they haven't had with anybody else until maybe a few people like Kevin Owens. I would put in that category where he could draw you in with not just his wrestling, but he could talk you into his seat, so to speak. There's a few guys and girls that could probably do that, but CM Punk kind of started it. And CM Punk, him and WWE, they went sour. And I feel like that left a sour taste in their mouth where they're not going to push the guy with the mouth, where I feel like they're afraid to. And I think that's kind of that was what had made them huge. Like that's what pushed them into the new generation of wrestling was the CM Punk era, where he had Cena obviously, but there wasn't really that much crazy good talent around them at that time.
And he carried them. He did. He carried it. Just like Cena carried Rock. That's the thing. The reason why the Attitude Era was so popular is because a lot of wrestlers carried it, not just one or two. You know, some wrestling fans will be like, oh, without Rock and Austin. Well, without The Undertaker, you know, without Kane, without Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Dude Love. You know, I just mentioned 4 wrestlers right there. That's one. You know, and when you had Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero coming in and all that and everything, they just had so many names that were so talented. And now there's very few.
There's not very few that are talented. There's very few that could become that larger than life person.
Right.
That to us, I mean, I can't speak for anybody from the age of 10 to 25. Like I can't speak for that age group. I feel like the over 25 age group to probably about 40, I could probably speak to them, but I don't know how the younger generation views wrestling. I don't know if Roman Reigns is like this big, larger than life person to them. Like to me, it doesn't seem like, oh, he's not the second coming of Austin, Rock, Savage, Hogan. Like to me, he's not that. But to the kids, I don't know. He might be. Like to the kids, Drew McIntyre might be huge. Like I don't know that, but I don't think that like it's personality thing where it's you can be great in the ring. Let's face it, there was a lot of guys that weren't great in the ring. They were just better at entertaining.
Right.
Like you don't have those people that could be a dual entertainer, and you could even be a subpar wrestler as long as you're really entertaining. Like, I feel like Elias probably could have been something bigger. I feel like Elias probably could have got a bigger put because he was entertaining. He had that aspect of where he had the crowd at his fingertips. He did. And now they kind of lost it with him again. I mean, he got hurt. I mean, injuries are huge. Injuries are huge with these guys. Like Samoa Joe. Look at Samoa Joe. Not the most in shape looking guy, but he can make you feel a certain way when he got on the mic. And I'll go off of what you said about your parents. And I can familiarize myself a lot with what you were saying because my mom and dad are the exact same way, except my father is the one that we have a rule in my parents' house. Whatever my dad says, well, this guy he completely turned into a douchebag. That's when I know the heel is doing his job right. So my dad will go, well, this guy, like when Daniel Bryan went from yes to being the vegan guy, he's like, well, Daniel Bryan kind of turned into a douchebag, didn't he? So it's like, well, now he's doing his job. So
yeah.
I go from my father's reaction to WWE, and I know that they're doing their job right.
Yeah, Roman Reigns turned into a douchebag, definitely.
Yeah, like
your dad hates it. Your dad hates him, don't he?
Yeah, it was like my dad will keep kayfabe forever. He will keep kayfabe alive. If he has to do it by himself, he will do it. But yeah, so I mean, it's still enjoyable. Like it's just that I feel like it's less. There's more non-enjoyable parts than there is enjoyable parts. I feel like they give you maybe a half hour to an hour a week of something that's really enjoyable, and then the rest is kind of just filler, recycled, just random tag team matches and 6-man, 8-man. Like I just like get away from that and do actual tag team matches and do actual tag team matches with actual tag teams with stipulations and rules and make it like it's not a hard recipe. It's really not a hard recipe to follow. They've gotten so far away from the ingredients that it's uneatable.
You think it's what they're teaching these guys, the guys that are coming up now, compared to how they taught, the guys that were coming up in the Attitude Era?
I don't think they taught the guys in the Attitude Era. I think that
they were just animals.
It's a completely like you got to figure that the Attitude Era, they didn't have this wrestling factory that is NXT where you're bringing people up and you're teaching them the ropes from the people from the Attitude Era. Those
right.
People, they're learning from those people. So I don't know if it's that. I
think it's lack of freedom, to be honest. The lack of freedom, the not trusting a lot of talent. with unscripted promos, not letting people be legitimately themselves and themselves as a character instead of, well, let's find something new for Aleister Black and we'll make him something dark again. And like, they're not letting these people legitimately be them turned all the way up.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's that. I think that plays into it, but I don't think that this generation of wrestler, I think they're very non-confrontational. And I also think that they kind of have this thing where they're afraid of their boss, where they don't have the balls to be like, no, I want to do it this way. Like they like, you think fucking like Austin, yes, he has a respect for McMahon. He's his boss, but if he wanted to do something, you better believe he's going to put his 2, 3, 4, 5 cents in and look. And I mean, I think them taking a chance, like the wrestlers themselves taking a chance, like I feel like that doesn't exist. Like go out there and take a chance. And I mean, you lose your job, you lose your job. I mean, I know you don't ever want to get fired, but dude, if you believe in something, like they don't believe in themselves. Like you got to believe in yourself to go out there and want to do this.
You got to break down. You got to just totally dismantle the roster and all the gimmicks and just, I think, start from friggin' almost scratch. Like still keep the really good gimmicks, but everything else, you just got to start over, man. They're going way too long with these storylines, and then they don't end properly. It's like for example, the Randy Orton, the Fiend thing. What the hell happened with that?
It started out, I mean, if we're going back to where it actually started when he burnt the shack down, like I like that they tied.
Right, that was cool.
I like when they tied everything together. They just lost it somewhere in between. I think bringing Alexa Bliss in kind of confused and muddled it, and have Burnface come out, and I don't. It got weird, and it didn't get like good weird. Like, oh, this weird interesting. It got weird. Like what the? It was like almost like why? It was a why weird instead of a cool weird.
Then you brought him back on where he did the fun house, and then he disappeared again. And now Alexa Bliss is carrying that, whatever. She's like almost with him, not with him. We don't even know what's going on.
Here's the thing.
I don't think they know what's going on, to be honest with you.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think they do.
I think that if you were to put your money on that, I think that's a very safe bet. Bray Wyatt's another one. Bray Wyatt is another one that they had something with. When he first came in and he was his rocking chair, Hawaiian shirt.
I loved him.
Leader. Exactly. He had something that was very, very different than anybody else on the roster at that time. He had a personality. He was crazy. He was able to talk. It might have been in riddle and in haiku or whatever kind of fucking language he was talking.
But you listened.
You listened.
Yes.
It was crazy. And he was in the darkness, and he had his lantern thing going on. He had it. And then he reinvents himself, and he still has it. He's still weird. He's still out there. It's just that he's another one. And he actually got into phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He looked really good.
And they still just, they don't know where to go with him. It's like that he's got some creative freedom, because I don't think they thought this up for him. I think this is his brainchild. It's just that they don't know how to steer his ship, and they're not going to let him steer it completely himself, because they don't know. They're not going to give anyone that type of freedom. They're not going to give anybody the Undertaker treatment. They're not going to give anybody the Austin, the Michaels, any treatment like that, the Triple H. I mean, Triple H knows what it is. He fucking married the boss's daughter. He is fucking, and now he runs fucking part of the company.
Yeah, he's married in the wrestling. He's married into the WWE.
If he should know better than anybody of people that should get creative freedom. I mean,
well, I think that's why NXT does TV the way they do, is because Michaels, Regal, Road Dogg, Triple H are all running that, and you can see guys like Cameron Grimes doing his promos and getting over with this $1 million kind of gimmick that he's doing. Gargano and The Way and all Ciampa and Thatcher, and it goes on and on. They are all just extensions of themselves and turned up, and they get to do and have that freedom of cutting these promos and putting together the matches with producers, but all their input, where you go to main roster and you have a guy like Kevin Owens who's saddled by a script, and it makes no sense. And even like AJ Styles is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, but he's not that great doing a promo. He's very vanilla, even when he's a heel. And I just feel like it's more of them holding people back.
All right, so I'll play devil's advocate like I do so well in this show.
Yeah.
So someone who was, or actually a couple of people that were able to leave, and they were able to get creative freedom, and they were able to show what they wanted to show of themselves on TV. I'll start with Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley.
Okay.
I mean, so Ambrose didn't like what creative was doing with him. He came out and he said he didn't like it. They were handing him scripts. He was trying to tweak it. The people wouldn't tweak it or bring it to McMahon to tweak it, or he couldn't communicate. So he got frustrated. He goes out to AEW. He's able to do his own thing. I mean, is that someone that elevated themselves? Is that someone that draws you in now that they have creative freedom?
I loved Dean Ambrose when he was in the WWE. Never hated on that guy at all. He was really entertaining. His gimmick was great. His craziness, how he was, the pain that he went through into that ring that he showed, the clothesline he does when he goes through the ropes and comes back through. I mean, Dean was an architect out there in that ring. And when he left, I was pissed, man. I was like, I wasn't ready to see him go. But when he went to the AEW, Jericho needed a guy like that. AEW needed someone like that. And now look at him. Now I just actually watched him on what was that, Blood and Guts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I tuned in to watch. Mainly him. So, I'm a huge Dean Ambrose fan.
So
3 T-shirts to be exact.
So he still has that it factor for you, where he was able to still get over with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll continue. So there was someone else that left that didn't like the creative freedom. He got over with the crowd, but still was not able to get that push that he deserved. I will say that. And that's Rusev / Miro. Now, Miro has creative freedom. Is that someone who now has creative freedom, is someone that draws you in to watch him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Rusev. I was a huge fan of Rusev. At first, I didn't like him. I really didn't. But that was his job. He did his job. I love the fact that he just would be a total asshole to his competitor, and he'd be an asshole to the announcers. And he learned how to work the crowd. He learned how to get ready for a setup move. He had a really dangerous finisher. I loved Rusev. And when he left, I was happy he left because I felt like the WWE was just shitting the bed with him after a while with the Lana and Bobby Lashley shit. That was ridiculous. I don't know where the fuck that came from.
So
that was just stupid.
Is that someone now that you watch now in AEW? Is that someone that you tune into? Is that someone that you keep focus on?
Yeah. Especially hearing from my co-host when he's talking about him. And I think that Rusev was the fact that I remember Rusev like that is huge. You know what I'm saying? Because I watched so much of WWE, I still have to hear about AEW. But when I heard AEW got Rusev, I'm like, little by little, I'm starting to watch AEW. So he's a help. He helps out those fans that they're looking forward to getting. Like how Jericho said, I'm not going to take all of the talent that WWE gives me, but damn, I'll take the ones that are worth it, And that's what he's doing right now.
My devil's advocate kind of backfired on me.
I do, but no, the one thing I do, I know where you were trying to go with it.
Okay.
Because there are guys like, to continue with that, it's Sean Spears. You look at what everyone was talking about Ty Dillinger and how over he was in NXT, and obviously got fumbled on the main roster, and then now goes to AEW with Sean Spears. And yeah, he comes in, he does the chairman thing, they make a mistake and he cuts Cody's head open, and all right, maybe this is, even though it wasn't planned, it was the right momentum to kind of carry him. And one match, he falls flat after that. You don't see him, you don't hear from him. He's just, and all of a sudden now he's forced into this faction with MJF, and he's part of the Pinnacle now. Now I think this has to be, he has to catch on. He has to do something throughout this faction and make himself stand out, because if he doesn't, he might be that first name to where you go, yeah, I don't remember what happened to him. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a guy. Are you tuning in to see Sean Spears?
No.
Like, do you care? You don't care.
Nope. See there, yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
My co-host though. My co-host does. He talks about him a lot. Yeah. He loves AEW. He's all over them. I think he's almost turning into more of an AEW guy than WWE, but he just has that loyalty. He's been watching WWE for his whole life. But he's huge fan of AEW. I'm starting to get into it a little bit. I liked when they brought Shaquille O'Neal. How do you think he did?
I think it's surprising. I think Shaquille O'Neal, he knows how to entertain people. Like Shaquille O'Neal knows what he's doing. He might not know what he's doing inside of a wrestling ring, but he knows what he's doing. He knows how to relate to an audience. I mean, he's been an entertainer on and off the court for 25, 26 years, maybe longer than that. But I mean, I liked it. I like goofy shit in wrestling. Like, I could like when they bring in guys and girls like that. I mean, it's fun. It shows that, like, look, it's not that serious. Like, it's just wrestling. Like, look, we're gonna do this stupid ass thing with Snoop Dogg where he's gonna try to do a fucking frog splash off the middle rope. I mean, like, no. I mean, anyone who doesn't like that, like, what did you expect them to do? What did you expect them to be properly trained for fucking 25 years to fucking come out there and perform perfectly? I mean, it's supposed to be fun. Same thing with Bad Bunny. I mean, if of anybody, he came out.
Not to mention him.
He was the most impressive. Like, he put his fucking all into that. It was WrestleMania. You don't fuck around on WrestleMania. As many people do, like, he didn't. Like, he took that seriously. He respected everything that wrestling embodies, and he came out there and he performed and fucking brought in a huge new audience to the product, which was, it's crazy. Like, the gatekeeper wrestling fans that don't want any other fans to become fans of wrestling has always been a bizarre thing to me.
They are a bizarre group to not want more fans. I never understood that either.
Bad Bunny, I said it on my show. I said, when I seen him jump off that top rope, and my co-host kept on cracking jokes like, oh, it's a joke that he's going to even be going out there. What do he's not going to look that good. He might do a few fake punches and shit, like, or whatever. I said, no, I think this dude's going to wrestle, man. I said, for him to go up on that top rope like that and then do a nice, perfect crossbody to where he doesn't hurt anybody and he doesn't hurt himself, and then he gets back up and he's pumped up. Maybe that's what triggered him to go in the training, but he stole the show at WrestleMania, if you ask me. He stole the show.
I mean, it was definitely a huge surprise. I mean, it was a pleasant surprise. I thought for how much negativity was brought towards that, I mean, he showed out. He did, 100%.
Huge shocker. Huge shocker.
It is, but that's nice when that happens. Like, when people are just like, this is going to be, like, it's like, okay, I know when I'm going to take my piss, and to get to a point of where, oh shit, I don't want to miss this. Like, that's a testament to, and he helped build up fucking
Damian Priest.
Thank you.
Big time.
And now maybe they can start creating new stars. I mean, do I see Damian Priest being the biggest star in WWE? No, but if they can get some people in the mix and get more than one person at a time into these main title feuds where you can, WWE's fallen into there's only two main people and the rest are mid-carders at a time.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Where, like we were talking about in the Attitude Era, there was a lot of top guys. Well, there was a lot of top guys. There was a lot of people that you could see challenging and that were challenging for that main title. I mean, you named them all. I mean, you got Michaels, Austin, Rock. You got Mankind. You got Kane. You got Taker. You have Angle. I mean, you throw in maybe 3 more people. You almost have 10 people that are at the top of your roster. Right now, you have maybe per show, you have 2 each, maybe 3 each, where you need to have more people that you can rely on to be these top dogs of the company. You can't just have these role players. Like, everyone else is a role player. You have main players and you have role players. Like, You have Lashley, you have Strowman, you have McIntyre, who are all right around the main title, and that's it. And honestly, like, if Lashley loses his title, like, do you honestly see him staying around for more than another one-off and then falling back to United States Championship territory or worse? I mean, Strowman, how many times have they dropped the ball with Strowman where if he were to win this title, would anyone even care? No. I wouldn't give a shit if Strowman won the fucking title, because they lost him after that Lesnar-Kane feud. They completely lost him. And then they had him back again, and then they lost him again. Like, he was supposed to be their monster. Like, he's been defeated more times by more people than he should have been. Like, they have these people, and then they just crush them. Like, Styles will always be one that could make his way up to the main title. He's reliable. He's good. He's phenomenal. Let's put it that way. Randy Orton will always find his way to that title. Always. Randy Orton's probably the best professional wrestler, bar none, in all of the business right now. I'd put good money on that. He is perfect in the ring. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to talk no matter what he's doing. He's just a professional's professional. So I think Randy Orton will always be there. But Orton's also in his 40s, so how long is he going to fucking do this for? Like, you have no one in the bullpen, to throw a baseball reference out there.
Right.
The bullpen's weak. The bullpen looks like the Phillies fucking bullpen right now.
It took the words out of my mouth on that one.
Yeah. Well, Randy Orton, man, he's something else, dude. He really is something else. Hopefully he's getting over Riddle. You know, hopefully they go for the tag team titles. I'd love that. I'd love to see a different side of Randy there. Randy, like you were just saying, over the years, Randy's has consistently had to pretty much carry. Whether he was in contention for the title or whether he wasn't, Randy's always part of the show.
Always. And he's a big part of the show. He's a big story. He's an elevator right now, where he is elevating talent. Like, if you're in a program with Randy Orton, you should feel lucky because you're getting elevated. I mean, look at Kofi Kingston, his run-ins with Randy Orton. That helped elevate him. If you could finally beat Randy Orton, like, you're moving up in the company. Like, you can look. He's not.
I'm not sure Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. I mean, what?
That's a little different.
What happened with Keith Lee?
He beat Orton.
Okay.
And he disappeared. Like, that was it. Keith Lee was there. Did
he get hurt?
I don't ever remember hearing him getting hurt.
Something about my co-host was saying he read something about him and Vince. Vince, for some reason, just didn't like Keith Lee's story that they were doing, whatever gimmick they got for him. Vince just wasn't sold on it. I mean, just dropped him like a bad habit.
Like, to not it's so weird.
I liked Keith Lee personally.
I mean,
I liked him.
He's a big guy. He's athletic as hell. I mean, he could have done big things. He knew how to get over with the crowd. I mean, I only seen him as a babyface, so I don't know if he can work as a heel, but I'd imagine he probably could. He's big enough and mean enough. He probably can, but it's just a weird concept to where, okay, Vince doesn't like your the storyline, so we're just going to chop you completely instead of.
And he keeps doing it. Keith Lee's not the only victim on this, man. He keeps doing it over and over again.
Well,
it's not fair. He pretty much did it to Rusev.
Did it to Rusev. Aleister Black probably.
Aleister Black, definitely, yeah.
I mean, Andrade, who is now.
Oh, God.
So
did that.
So, I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just that it's a big recycling. Like, he gets rid of people, brings new people in. Where is this next big star? And we've asked that question to a numerous amount of actual wrestlers that have been on our show. Like, who do you see being that? Because wrestling needs a savior. Wrestling needs that big star who's going to, it doesn't matter what company, they need that draw that's going to help save wrestling, because with that big personality will generate more competition where you will have to find and push other people. So that wrestling as a whole needs that big star, that larger than life performer. And I don't think they have them yet. That's the thing.
It sucks that it can't be CM Punk, you know, because it seems like he's just done with it.
I know. I mean, and
he would blow it up. They brought him back. I mean, I know he's going to cost a lot of money, but they got the money. It's not like they ain't got the money.
No,
Bring the dude back.
They have the money. It's just that I don't know if that.
I don't think it's Lesnar.
No, I think it's too late for Lesnar.
I think people are over him, man. I think they're over him.
I think the aging wrestler Punk's in his 40s. I mean, Lesnar's in his 40s. Like, these guys that are in their 40s, they're not going to be the savior because they're not going to be around long enough to be the savior.
Part-timer, yeah.
You need someone who, the part-timers, they're a draw. Like, that's why we see them come WrestleMania, come Royal Rumble, come, I don't know, you name a big pay-per-view, you're probably going to see a part-timer. I mean, Goldberg. Or Saudi. I mean, we know that they're a draw. They've been proven as a draw. Like, they're going to bring in the eyes. It's that these young talent that are going to be that person, that next step, that next larger-than-life personality. I mean, I would have thought Rollins had a good shot at one point to be something, to be maybe not Austin level, but to be big. I thought, like, he has the look. He's got the mic skills. He's got the intangibles, enough of them to where he could have been big. But to not be he needs to be at the top more to make a difference everywhere. Like, he needs to be the top guy for a long time, and there needs to be a lot of people chasing for him to make a difference now in a smaller promotion with someone.
Well, back in the Attitude Era, they didn't have an NXT.
Yeah,
They didn't have anything like that. So now the next talent is NXT.
Yeah.
So you just got to go back to them and say, well, that's the next guy coming up. Everybody knows. NXT fans know it. They're upset because some people watch NXT and don't watch WWE. So now, we lost him. He's gone. What do we got next for NXT? We don't know. See, they have an excitement there. They don't know what's coming in with NXT. They know what's coming in with the WWE. So when you see that, like when Damian Priest came out, whatever, that was, if there was a crowd, that would have been a huge cheer on. The NXT fans got to see that, but you knew Damian Priest was coming. Back in Attitude Era, Austin had to build his own self up. Rock had to build his own self up. Mick Foley, Triple H, DX, they did everything to build themselves up. NXT, you're getting a chance to see the WWE universe before you see it, and they're getting a chance to see you. There's no there's no excitement level there. Like, I remember back watching Attitude Era, I seen a new guy come out, like when John Cena came out, and he had that match against Kurt Angle. I didn't know who the hell he was. Did you guys know who the hell John Cena was?
No. Nope.
But that night, I was hoping I would see more of him, and then that was it. And that's when he started his feud. With Kurt Angle, Undertaker shook his hand backstage. That was it. But you can't do that really with NXT guys because we already know who the hell they are. Damian Priest comes out, we know he's going to kick the shit out of somebody because he was big in NXT. But when you saw John Cena, you were like, what's going to happen here? Is he going to have a jobber match, or is he going to really give Angle all he's got? Now you don't have that. You don't have it no more.
I think that might be a disadvantage, though, because you're coming in with a already known backstory, and not only that, expectations. You know what I mean? You have the expectations, you have the story. So these people already know when you're watching Raw or SmackDown, an NXT star is coming up. And then you come up and you get, and what happens to Keith Lee happens to whoever it is. You know what I mean? And then it's, but he was so great there.
It was huge in NXT.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So I think that could be a double-edged sword of, it's great that you have the excitement of NXT and you're able to bring these guys up, or girls up. But when you keep shitting the bed with all this talent that wows the crowd and sells out buildings at the Barclays and stuff like that for takeovers, it's really, really, really looks bad on a Monday Night Raw, or SmackDown to a lesser degree recently, but Monday Night Raw, because it's wasted talent because you know what they can be.
So here's the last time that they were able to pull off a surprise that was a substantial surprise where you knew of the person, but you didn't know how they were going to do in this system, was probably when AJ Styles debuted in the Royal Rumble. So when his music hit and he came out, he had some notoriety. People knew about AJ Styles from whether it be TNA or New Japan. Like, people knew of him. So, I think he was kind of the last one to come out of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
and make a difference in the WWE product. Like that's what you almost need. You almost need an established name from outside of that system to come in and be that. But the problem is that no one's really generating that type of person. Like no one's making like this is their last stop. Like that person probably could have been Kenny Omega. Like Kenny Omega probably could have came to WWE and made a difference.
I still think he can. I still think he can.
He could because he's never been there. It's got to be someone's like, oh, this is their last stop. Like they've done everything, literally everything, everywhere else except for the land of the giants. Like there's very few people that will be that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nakamura was another one.
Nakamura was one, but he went to NXT first. So I think that helped him because he didn't really lose momentum on the main.
No, I'm saying they shit the bed with him, I think, in the WWE.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
He should have been a champion by now. He had there's some people that probably could have gotten a title run who were over like initially with the crowd. Like I think honestly, I think Bobby Roode was. Like I think Bobby
he was huge.
I think Bobby Roode, like I think they
great gimmick and everything.
He could have at least been he could have been like a Del Rio level, like where he held the championship, or even freaking Ziggler. Like Ziggler has always been tried and true. Like he's always proven, like he's always been a guy that could have been near the top. Like Miz is another one. Like there's people that could have been the torch carriers of this company.
Yeah.
But they won't do it. They just won't do it.
That's
a huge problem right there. They just won't friggin' do it.
And it's always the same people.
Mm-hmm.
You made The Miz look like a joke again. You know? You made The Miz look like a joke with the Bobby Lashley, how he was acting like a little baby. Like, dude, this is wrestling, man. You can't.
Wait, and one thing I have to say about Miz, at this point, I mean, I guarantee Miz wants another title run. I guarantee that, obviously. But I think he's having so much fun with John Morrison being back and then being able to run back that tag team. And I think he's so much happier than maybe he once was before this. Not that a title run wouldn't be
not only that, but
out of the question.
He's got his own show on fucking USA. Like,
exactly. His own reality show.
I don't think Miz really gives a shit what happens storyline wise.
But if The Miz didn't have any of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be it.
The Miz might be going to AEW.
Well, yeah, but I don't think I think the Miz is locked up for a while.
No, he's locked up because of that. But I'm saying if he didn't do all that stuff with the WWE and he was just a mid-card guy like he pretty much is now, would he stay?
I mean, you can ask that question about a lot of people.
That's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
Like, we only know what they let us know. Like,
right.
We don't know what the ins and outs are behind the scenes. They let you know what they want you to know. So until it comes out and it's proven by multiple sources, like you can come out and say anything like, oh, they do this, this, and this just to generate more heat for that company. But that just puts more focus on them anyway. Like Vince has always gone by any reputation, whether it be good or bad, at least it's a reputation. At least they're looking at you for some reason. Like no publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah, and he'll say, go over there, do a really good job, and then, if we like you, we'll bring you back. He does that all the time, too.
I mean, he's not opposed to that, no.
No, it's insane how he does that business like that, but it's worked for him. WWE's still around.
I mean,
still doing her thing, still the top dog.
Look at the Dudleys. Like, the Dudleys went and did their thing for how long, and they came back. And
yeah,
they had a substantial run. Like, I mean, they proved themselves in WWE, left, did their thing, and came back, and they brought them back. I mean, it was kind of like an abbreviated run, but I mean, you could say the same thing with the Hardys. The Hardys left for a long time. They started smoking meth or whatever they started doing, and fucking became creative juggernauts, and they brought them back. I mean,
they even had the New Age Outlaws for a while there, when they actually end up coming back and winning the tag team championships.
Didn't they do that with the Headbangers too?
I don't remember them bringing back the Headbangers.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they did it for a match.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, I mean, when it comes down to
It probably did. Knowing Vince.
Yeah, it was probably a one-off, but
He'll do whatever it takes to take care of his old fans.
yeah,
You know, the new fans, they get screwed. I don't get it anymore, man. I really don't. Drew McIntyre should be feuded one-on-one. That's it with Braun Strowman. I think to get to Bobby Lashley, and then the winner and do it that way. Now it's almost like let's just keep doing the triple threat shit. You know what I mean? I just don't think you could. I don't think the talent's there like it was back in the day to do some kind of storyline like that. Because now what's going to happen? I know at the end of this last episode, the one before that, Braun Strowman and Lashley got beat up by Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. Now this one, it's vice versa. Strowman beat them. So what's the next one? It's going to be that. You already know what's coming. It's going to be Lashley gets his.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask. Look, we have a little bit more time. I still wanted to touch on WrestleMania Backlash. I mean, it's this Sunday. So is that your prediction? You're predicting Bobby Lashley walking out with the title on Sunday?
I think so, man. I think you have to. I don't like he said. What are you gonna do? Like if Strowman wins, I'll be really excited for him. Yes, I will. If McIntyre wins, I will not. I think he's already been consistently in that title run. I think it's somebody else's turn, and that's basically how I feel about that right there. But I still want to see Lashley win, though.
So, are you saying this feels more like that 2011, 12, 13 era where it was more hot potatoes, where there was three or four people, and they were just interchanging. A lot of it was John Cena. You had CM Punk. You had Del Rio. I think Swagger was in there once, and Ziggler was in there. I mean, it feels like that type of era where they're just going to play hot potato with this because they don't have – I mean – there's no Cena. There's no Cena in this scenario. Like none of these people that we're mentioning are John Cena. It's just that they're all kind of role players, and no one's there to claim that top spot.
Well, they're showing that McIntyre, if he just has a singles one-on-one match, like for example, MVP had to look like he was coming into the ring, so McIntyre could look away.
Yeah.
But that was stupid. I didn't like that at all. But McIntyre pretty much looks like he's unbeatable if it's one-on-one. Straight one-on-one, he's unbeatable. Lashley, unbeatable one-on-one. Strowman, for some reason, no. Strowman can be beaten, even though he's bigger than both of them, and he's a monster among men. So I don't know what they're really doing here. I think it's probably just waiting, like a lot of other people are saying that the Brock Lesnar coming back eventually and stuff, all that shit, because Lesnar don't turn down money,
I mean,
that's it.
No smart person would turn down money, especially when especially the deals that he cuts.
Well, CM Punk's turning down money. You know damn well that they're probably trying to offer that dude something.
Yeah, but it's more about money with him. He wants that WrestleMania main event. He wants that respect of being at that marquee match, and I don't think they're willing to give it to him.
But it's like he was saying, there really isn't a guy out there that's like Cena, that's like The Rock, that's like Austin, that's like any of those guys. None of them. Mm-hmm. The closest is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but they're on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And SmackDown, I mean, as much as you could call it the A show,
they're the better show.
It is the better show. It's just that it will never get treated like the better show because it's not Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is the baby. Monday Night Raw is the firstborn. Monday Night Raw is the favorite. I mean, as cool and as good as SmackDown's going to be, it's still not going to get the amount of viewership that Monday Night Raw, because that's the name.
On Monday night, most people are home. They're Friday nights. People go out.
Well,
they used to.
Yeah.
Exactly. But once that clears up and everything, I go out every Friday night. I go to Buffalo Wild Wings with the wife. That's the one thing we always do. That's our thing. I always have to watch SmackDown on DVR. And then a lot of times with Monday Night Raw, my daughter, that's the movie night she likes to watch, so I have to watch that on DVR. You know what I mean? But Raw, I can watch live easier than I could And plus, I also like Monday Night Football. There's a lot of stuff going on around during football season or whatever. But I personally think that SmackDown does hurt having it on Friday nights. I think it hurts. I think it really does hurt them.
I think having too much, I think it's a good and a bad thing, but having so much
wrestling
is a good thing.
Yeah,
but so much to watch, and for people that have full-time jobs, that have families, that have a lot of stuff going on, like where do you find the time to watch not only 5 hours of wrestling, but 7, 9, fucking 11, 12 hours of fucking wrestling a week? Where the hell do you find that extra 12 hours or more sometimes to watch wrestling in a full week to keep up with everything that's going on? We got to kind of pick and choose what you want to watch, but that's their job, to make you be like, all right, well, I can't miss this. Like, even if I DVR, like if I DVR Raw, like I don't care if I even get to that at this point. Like, I don't care if I get to Raw. Like, I know I can catch some of the interesting parts on social media or on the internet or YouTube or whatever. I could be like, all right, I'm caught up enough to where, okay, I saw what I wanted. Like, there's no one that's putting on consistently good product to where even if I miss it, I have to go back and watch it. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen ever, where like week to week, like there might be something that, oh, I want to see that, and I'll actually go back and watch a full show. But nothing televised right now on TV has me to the point of where like, shit, I missed that. I definitely need to go back and watch it. It just doesn't happen.
I totally agree with you. I used to be that guy where I'll fast forward through like shitbag matches and then maybe watch right near the end what happens, like the finishers or whatever, like maybe the last 5 minutes. And then if guy gets jumped or whatever, and then if a promo's cut after that. I've become a real fan of the promos. I don't fast. I used to fast forward through some of them because I didn't care about the wrestlers. But now a lot of the promos, I watch mainly them, and some matches I will fast forward through the beginning until like the commercial. They'll show that commercial where they go to commercial, and then after that, I'll watch like the last 8 minutes sometimes of a match.
I mean,
but I wouldn't do that. You couldn't do that back then during the Attitude Era because you were glued to the damn screen.
Not only that, we didn't have fucking DVR back then.
No. Shit's too easy. There you go. Shit's too easy right now. Shit's just way too easy for us. It's way too easy. It's like, oh, I'll just DVR it, watch it. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. My friend already blew it for me. I'm not, I already know what happened. Social media blew it for me. But back then, the Attitude Era, you had to sit in front of that TV because my dad wasn't VHS in that for me. You know what I mean? So if I missed it, I missed it.
Yeah, then
now you don't got that.
You got to hear about it the next day at school. You're like, fuck, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, you're the asshole that didn't watch it. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
You're not a real wrestling fan, Will. Yeah.
Isn't that funny to be called that and then be called like you're a wrestling fan? Like, first I wasn't a real wrestling fan, and now I'm getting shit for being a wrestling fan. Like, which one can I be? Can I be?
Yeah, it's an awkward conversation, I would say. Like, you'll be at a party and you'll be like, "Hey, you guys watch wrestling?" No, I'm like, "Oh, okay." All right. I guess I got to talk sports now, huh? I don't watch that either. Okay, off to the next guy. I'm not talking about no TV shows with somebody I barely fucking know. You know what I mean?
Would you catch the new Grey's Anatomy?
So I want to end the show. I want to talk about one more title match. That's Roman and Cesaro, because finally, at least from the fan point of view, this is long overdue for Cesaro. His first ever singles world championship match. And do you think there's any chance of Cesaro pulling it out? I think most of us believe that there is zero chance that he comes close.
I just hope they don't make him look like a joke. I hope he goes out there, fights his ass off, and comes so close. Actually, it's probably Roman wins by cheating. So there you go. That's pretty easy. It's going to be, or does is it Jey Uso? Jey Uso might screw Roman, and then Cesaro becomes champion. What?
Jimmy Uso.
Jimmy Uso. Okay, yeah, Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that. I mean, you could just put the title right back on Roman for the next pay-per-view, or even on SmackDown. It really doesn't matter at this point. But I mean,
here's the thing, though. I don't like that because I hate that actually, Because if someone wins the title, I want to see them do something with the title, especially if it's someone who's just held the title, because you know that booking. You know that booking like the back of your hand. Someone wins a title. Oh, that was just for the fucking pay-per-view pop. And now he wins the title back on. I fucking hate that. Like, just
it always happens.
Let someone win a title and show you that why they won that title, why I should hold this title. Like, Cesaro will have a great match with literally anybody on the card. Literally anybody Cesaro will get a good match out of.
Yeah.
His promos aren't always the best. No, they're not. But he can still legitimately look like a champion. Like, he legitimately is a badass where he has one, he'll outwork anybody in the ring. He will. He just will. And I think that alone could make him a viable champion for at least a good amount of time. Maybe not substantial where he's holding it for like 400 days, but he can hold the title for 3 months. He can hold the title for 90 days and be a very good champion. I mean, look at these surprise champions that you like. All they need is the right push. Where Cesaro beats Roman Reigns, arguably the biggest star that WWE has. No matter how he wins, he beats him. I don't care if it's Jimmy Uso costing Roman Reigns. That just gives Roman Reigns something else to do. Roman never needs to hold a title again.
You're right.
We know what kind of champion he is. Mm-hmm. He's a good champion.
Yeah.
Now he might even be in the category of great champion. With Paul Heyman now and this whole tribal chief thing, he might have crossed over into a great champion. He doesn't need to hold the title for another year. Like, look, like Charlotte doesn't need to hold a title for 6 years. There's people that don't need to hold the title where you're still going to watch them. Like Roman Reigns right now is very, very watchable, where even if he isn't the champion, I still want to see what he's doing. Where Cesaro can hold this title and you can bring new people up. You can elevate. This is what we're talking about. This is what we started the show talking about. How you bring new champions. Cesaro is the champion, and you bring a Sami Zayn up, or you bring a Kevin Owens up. You bring someone else up to challenge Cesaro, preferably probably a heel, because you got to do good guy, bad guy, right?
Yes.
But you can still elevate someone else. Where, I mean, Raw does not have that.
No,
Raw doesn't have that larger than life. Where Roman Reigns is. And they don't even have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is on fucking SmackDown too.
I know that those are the two guys. I think Rollins should be on Raw running that shit, and Roman should be running SmackDown. That's my opinion. But they love Drew McIntyre, man. They absolutely love him.
I think Drew McIntyre could be a really good champion. I just think that promo wise, I don't resonate. I don't care what he has to say. I know that overly, I'm a tough guy.
I'm the same way.
I'm the Scottish tough guy. I'm going to kick you in the face. But here's the thing. I can be invested in Sheamus, and Sheamus is almost the same thing, where I'm a tough guy. I'm going to legitimately kick you in the face. But I like Sheamus. Like, I think Sheamus gets over more.
He works the tough guy a lot better than Drew McIntyre does.
He does.
Yes. Yeah.
He works a heel tough guy, but he's also a good babyface too. Sheamus just has more of a character, I believe, than Drew McIntyre. I don't think Drew McIntyre has his character yet.
I don't think he can relate to fans as easy as Sheamus has done over the years and continues to do.
Sheamus looks like a fucking newsie right now, so I don't know who he's relating to.
He's a Peaky Blinder.
I kind of love that attire. Yes, I think it's actually it's really cool.
The Irishman loves the Irish fucking attire.
He looks like a badass from the 20s.
He looks like a newsie. He looks like he's got ready to break into something dance.
That's old school wrestling right there.
Yeah,
that's old school wrestling.
Like bare knuckle brawler.
Yeah. So all right, so I think we're gonna cut it there. Willie, thank you so much for coming on, and please promote the show. Let everybody know about your show.
Of course, BakStabberz Wrestling Podcast. We basically cover WWE mostly, although my co-host and I, we go for the rockers and just talk about whatever the hell comes into his head. Sometimes he'll just bring stuff up like how we did, a little bit of NXT, a little bit of AEW, but I mainly try to keep it to the WWE. You know, that's because that's my strength. It's no offense to him, but that's just the way it is. But he does bring a little bit of AEW and NXT in, and AEW I'm actually starting to get into a lot more. But you can catch it usually we upload an episode like every Saturday night, Sunday morning, something like that. It's on of course, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You could go to oldcitysports.com and just click on our link tree, and then you can easily listen to any of our shows. Our earlier episodes, the sound quality wasn't great. We were just using a cell phone to record on, and we might have had some kind of beer or whatever while we were on there. I'll just say a little bit too many, but it was mainly we're comedy, so you guys have no competition with us. We're knuckleheads pretty much. We just straight knuckleheads, but we know what we're talking about. We talk a lot about the storylines, how we just were with the wrestlers working the gimmicks. But like I said, oldcitysports.com, that's where you can catch us at BakStabberz Wrestling Podcast. We don't backstab everybody, just each other. That's why it's called that.
I like it.
And he came up with the name, and I said, I don't have anything else, so we'll go with it. I wish we had brotherly love. I mean, I wish we did that. We were going to call ourselves South Philly's only wrestling podcast. We didn't even know about you guys.
Well, I mean, look, you would be South Philly's only wrestling podcast. We'll give that one to you because, I mean, we're up in the Northeast, so you can have South Philly if you want.
We could. You know what? Then somebody else could come out, and it just wouldn't work. I'm really happy I got in touch with you guys, though. We got in touch with each other.
Yeah.
You guys could be written there in Swanson.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know if anyone has that. Blue Meanie might come after you, but that's about it.
I actually reached out to him before, and he didn't answer me. I guess because I was too small. I'll try to get bigger.
Yeah, he's probably still not going to. He runs his own podcast.
Yeah.
He used to live right behind South Philadelphia High School, man.
I think
he used to yell out the window at him.
He still lives down that way. I think he's off.
Maybe I'll just go knock on his door then.
I think he's down off of. I want to say he's off of fucking Snyder somewhere, like second or third.
Oh, okay. He's a second shooter now.
Yeah, I think he's always posting pictures down either the pub down there or fucking City Pizza.
Yeah, so if you guys ever like talk about us or whatever, you know, we're the comedy angle. Although you guys are funny too. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot. I really appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Well, I mean, it's great to have another wrestling podcast from Philly. Again, like we said, me and you talked on the phone before this. So we just look. We're not the whole competition thing. We don't care that much. We really don't. We like talking wrestling, having fun. Just because you're another wrestling podcast, we're not going to make sure that we try and block you and not we could care less. We just want to have fun and talk wrestling.
Yeah, we don't get paid to do this. We don't give a shit.
No, we have too much.
Same here, man. We should definitely push each other's shows.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely down to do that.
Yeah, and when we can get a full crew, we'll come back. Maybe SummerSlam area. So
I did tell Will about our show Fallout, and I feel like that would be a great point for all four of us and do a Brotherly Love versus Bakstabberz Fallout episode and do some wrestling debate. And
I say we do that around SummerSlam then, where we can get
great.
Some meatier storylines and probably building towards something hopefully more special than what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, Will, we thank you again so much. It was great talking to you. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you soon, and we will get to meet your co-host. But until then, thanks again, and good luck with everything with the podcast. If you need anything, of course, reach out. Let us know.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
All right. Have a good one.